Back, as always happens, all off here, there and everywhere, talking away. Hopefully you've stimulated some new ideas. Right, where did we get to? We got to here, before we start getting people up. Right, two-voice disorientation, because we said about disorientation and confusion. What's the best example of this? Well, it's an example, I don't know if it's the best one, but has anyone had fortunate enough to have listened to one of Paul McKenna's audio CDs, yeah? It's recorded in such a way, in one ear you hear him saying, relax, sleep, you lose weight or whatever, and in the other ear he's saying something entirely different at the same time. So you get sensory overload, too much is going on, you can't concentrate on all of that at the same time as concentrating on all of that. So you're either listening to that, focused on that, and then that gets by the club bouncer, or vice versa. One way or the other, something's going in. That's the theory, at least. Personally, I think that's bollocks. But, however, that aside, some people think because of having read self-help books from the library, or having heard such wonderful self-help CDs, that this is necessary. And it's certainly confusing. Now, on stage, what I do, and I haven't got it with me, I have the induction music, which is the stereotypical arty-farty. On that, I have recorded my voice going deeper, relax, the deeper you go, the better you'll feel. And the better you feel, the deeper you go with every breath that you take, every night. And these nonsensical, boring, bullet point statements that are all based around relaxing, sleep, drifting off, sinking down, all that kind of stuff. So when that induction music is playing and I'm talking over the microphone, they're hearing my voice through the speakers that's coming off that, and also through the mic, doing the stare at the lights, take a nice deep breath in. So you're getting that similar two-voice disorientation, for want of a better phrase. What I have found is if you do group sessions, so it's still a bit like a show, but it's therapy. If you've got your music that you're going to be playing for the hour that you're going to waffle on to them while their eyes are closed, with, if it's a smoking seminar, you know, words on it like, you know, you no longer need, want, crave or desire for cigarettes or tobacco in any way, shape or form. If it's a weight one, you know, see yourself super slim in your mind. A bit of common sense, something that's relative to the actual event that you're doing. Then while you're doing your waffle, or the complete mind therapy as we'll call it under another name shortly, they're getting two lots, and you quite often find, don't ask me why, but the honest answer is I don't know. But I quite often find that people really do flake out and end up going to sleep. It's like, the only logical explanation I can come up with is sensory overload. It's like, I can't take all this in, I can't take all this in. But you've already said to them, future pacing, that it does not matter if you relax so completely that you drift off to sleep. In fact, this will be just as successful for you as if you were fully aware. So it doesn't matter what happens, but presentationally wise, it looks good, especially in context of a show or a group session. One-to-one therapy-wise, some of you have already mentioned you've got the units where they have the headphones and the music goes through and then you speak through the mic. Well, again, if you're doing that, you can have your music. All you've got to do is get a bloody tape recorder home or your computer and a few bullet points. The deeper you go, the better you feel. The deeper you go, the better you feel. The better you feel, the deeper you go. Every muscle in your body, from the tips of your toes to the tips of your fingers, becoming so loose, so relaxed, so heavy and so tired. Little bullet points like that. Put them on, it bores them to death, quite frankly. That's probably the logical reason why they go to sleep. Pure and utter boredom. But it doesn't matter, because then if you have to wake them up and they're snoring away, you're back to that, something magical's happened and you feel like it. Okay, Coué's law of reversed effort. We covered that briefly with what I call the world's worst suggestibility test, because it doesn't always work. But by saying try to do something, it implies that they won't be able to. Pattern interrupt, they talk about that in NLP. which allegedly is where this handshake induction thing comes from. You know, you just go up to somebody, they think you're going to shake their hand and you end up putting it on the face and, well, scaring the crap out of them, probably, if you're not pre-warned. But it does, to a certain extent, work, which will become more relevant shortly. However, going back to the law of reversed ethic, we'll use that on suggestibility test, albeit that the suggestibility test that we're going to cover will work the majority of the time with the majority of the people, whether you used so-called powerful suggestions or not. But look, the QA's law of reversed effort states that when the imagination and the will are in conflict, the imagination will always win. Typical example of that is job interview. If you think, oh, I hope I don't get nervous, I'll try not to get nervous when I go for this job interview, invariably you program yourself, you try not to do it more, so you end up bag of nerves, you end up doing it. Because that which the mind resists persists. So plant the seed and watch it grow. That is what we're going to do in therapy. Stage, it's more direct to the point. In a minute, you'll bark like a dog, quack like a chicken. The results there for all to see instantly. In therapy, yes, with somebody who smokes, if they don't smoke another cigarette, the results there to see. If they were scared of spiders in the past, and you do whatever, and then get a triantula out, and hold on to it, and get the nice pictures and can show it off to the friends, the results there to see. Sometimes, if people have emotional issues, you aren't going to see an instant, this has definitely worked. So intangibly, it's a case of, well, how did they carry on over the next few days, the next week, or whatever. Which is why, going back, repeating myself, but that's repetition, that's hypnosis, by giving them that backup CD, or inviting them to come back and pay you again, but I prefer the backup CD, otherwise it gets a bit boring. Seeing the same people again and again. Gives them that crutch. Because ultimately that's all we're doing. We're giving them a kick up the arse, giving them, in NLP they call it a reframe. I'm trying to think of the best way to get this point across, and I think the best way to do it is to actually get a volunteer. The room went quiet and everyone looked scared. Now the key word there was volunteer. So would you like, who would want to volunteer rather than me picking on you? Give them a round of applause from the bottom to get up. It is quite painless. Take a seat if you'd be so kind, sir. Thank you very much indeed. We're not going to do any conventional hypnosis yet. I mean, well, we're not going to do any hypnosis at all this weekend because it doesn't exist. So we can't really do something that doesn't exist. But at some point we'll get onto the thing that looks like it is and how it can be useful for you. But for now, if you could be so kind, and I don't know if this is going to be possible for you, but is there some kind of issue or problem in your life, you don't need to tell us, you can do this just in your head, content free, that you can remember enough that it's something that either made you angry or upset, a negative memory. And on a scale of 0 to 10, with 0 being no problem whatsoever, fine about it, 10 being like suicidal, fucking hell, get me out of the room. How high up that scale would you kind of mark that memory, thought, emotion? About an 8, so it's pretty, okay. So it's still a bit raw thinking about. What I'd like you to do, sounds really daft, and I know normally we wouldn't be doing this with you sat in front of a load of people, so you have to excuse that slight addition to it. I'd like you to do exactly what I do, okay? Just take your 2 forefingers and just tap yourself on the forehead 10 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then just tap yourself around the belly button area. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then just on your left side there, yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. On your right side, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Look down with your eyes. Look that direction with your eyes, this direction with your eyes. Just hum happy birthday, as daft as it sounds, I'll do it with you. Now just tap your head again. 10 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Belly button area. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Left hand side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Right hand side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Close your eyes. Try and think of that feeling that once bothered you in the past, that used to be high up that scale, and now thinking about it, trying to bring it back as it once was. On a scale of 0 to 10, with 0 being no problem whatsoever and 10 being really bad, how much lower down are we now? About a 4. Seriously, as quick as that? Alright, people normally jump about 2 points. We actually fit... Right, because I can see it in your face that genuinely you have felt something a bit weird there. Would it be appropriate, because it's not about telling us what this was, but would it be appropriate to lower that a bit more? Or is it something you feel you might need to be reminded of to a certain level so you didn't get into that kind of situation again?
It'd benefit everybody involved, really, not to be a problem.
Okay. So there is something else we can do to bring that down lower for you if you'd like to.
Yeah.
Okay. Which is a bit, I know it's a bit freaking, but because you do feel it inside, but okay. Very similar to what we just did, but we're going to do it in a slightly different order. So starting at your belly button area, 10 taps, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Thinking of that problem as it once was. Noticing that as you tap yourself on the head now, 10 times, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's getting down lower, just tapping on the left hand side, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then just on your right hand side, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This one's where it's slightly different. Sometimes we get feelings around here. If you just tap there, about 10 times, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So look here with your eyes, down there with your eyes, down there with your eyes. Oh, happy birthday. Okay, just close your eyes, try and get it back to what it was before. How low down are we now from what it was previously? No, seriously, really try and... That's it. I know it is a bit weird to suddenly realise that you can leave that behind completely in the past. Doesn't matter. Just close your eyes and imagine getting in a similar type of situation in the future, but not instinctively reacting like you would have done in the past, because it no longer bothers you, worries you, or concerns you in any way, shape or form. And notice how good that feels inside right now, to know that you can handle your life that way. How much better do you feel now? Tremendous, yeah?
Oh, amazing.
Brilliant. Thank you for volunteering. Give this gentleman a huge round of applause. That's how quick it can be. Oh, I almost feel guilty now. I'm going to tell you how I did it. But the irony of it is, even though I'm going to tell you how it was done, that won't return. You will find that it remains at that level now where you feel good about it. In fact, you'll probably end up laughing when I tell you how it was done, which will make you feel even better about the experience and mean that it never bothers you at any time at all, ever again. Anyone got any ideas what I just did there? EFT? No. No. I call it CMT, not complete mind therapy, complete mind tapping, just because it's a different name. The way I remember it is testicles, spectacles, wallet and watch. I haven't got a fucking clue about the acupressure points. I couldn't give a fuck whether there's acupressure points there or not. It is a fixation of attention, everything we covered this morning. And all I did was fixate your attention so that for a short while you're doing this and thinking of that or humming up with your eyes, whatever you bloody want to do. Not a non-conventional induction, if you like, just distracting the mind so that I could get past that nightclub bouncer, take the kid and say, you don't need to bother you anymore. That's essentially all we did. Now generally it needs 2 or 3 repetitions to bring it down, but sometimes you get people who really concentrate really well and you get, well, you saw yourself, dramatically quick response. And it's the results that count. There was also worked into that, so essentially the tapping's got fuck all to do with it. It's just a fixation of attention. So there you go, just saved you a fortune on doing any EFT training, TFT training, anything like that. The phraseology was also very important, okay? And you'll see that a lot of what I do this afternoon, it looks like I'm repeating myself. And that's because I am, but you'll see it at work. Remember what we said this morning about future pacing? Say it as though it's already happened. Well, the first time round, we're emphasising the fact that there used to be a problem. That problem you had before, which in itself is implying that it's not what it once was. On a scale of 0 to 10, and notice I'm using voice tone here, on a scale of 0 to 10, with 0 being no problem whatsoever, it's like the body, hey, no big deal, and 10 being like, oh, suicidal shit, get me out of the room, really emphasising that that's bad. How high up is it? And physically I go with my hand high up. I'm asking how high up, so it implies a higher number. So they give you whatever number. You then do your mind distraction, which might be conventional hypnotic induction and then giving them suggestions, or something as simple as tapping so that your mind consciously is not focused on the fact that that's going to go straight in. And then we go, now on a scale of 0 to 10, with 0 being no problem anymore, no problem anymore, which in itself is an embedded command, and 10 being the worst it ever could have been in the past, future pace and imply, how much lower is it now? Hands going down, visual, non-verbal suggestion, how much lower? The question's phrased though that they feel obliged to give a lower number. The moment they do, although the irony of it is because of the embedded commands and the way you phrase it and what have you, that people do feel a difference. I mean, you weren't acting, were you? We didn't set anything up. It does actually feel different inside. But that's because if we change a thought in our mind and think of something that makes us angry, we release certain brain chemicals. If we think of a happy thing, we release different brain chemicals. And the idea of getting rid of something that bothered us, that was negative, and turning it into something good, means that ironically, we are going to neurologically, genuinely start to release the feel-good endorphins in the body, because you're focused on the idea of feeling better about it, because you've been pointed to think that that's what's going to happen. So at that moment in time, your body will have genuinely released endorphins, chemicals, serotonin, to be precise. And I'm not going to give you a 2-day boring lecture on brain chemicals. If you want that, go to one of Andrew Newton's events. For those who've been, you'll know what I mean. But the serotonin is genuinely released. So you do genuinely feel better at that moment, which becomes anchored to the idea that it's gone down. But the moment that you genuinely felt is tied in with something that apparently was suggestion, it becomes a reality because you genuinely felt that thing. It's not play acting, and then when you do it again, it's repetition. All the principles and techniques we covered this morning, which may have at times sounded a bit, oh, he's repeating himself here, this seems all very basic stuff. Well, yeah, that's because it doesn't have, it can be as simple as you want it to be, you can make it as complicated as you want. No induction, no formal induction, and yet, arguably, what we did was hypnosis. Because there was fixation of attention, distraction of the mind, embedded commands, future pacing, anchoring the idea of that feeling better to look. All of those things that we covered this morning, the try, the law of reversed effort, you know, try and feel it again like you did before. Doing something that seems ritualistic, because, well, obviously I know what I'm doing apparently, so that's debatable. But no, apparently I know what I'm doing, so therefore I wouldn't be asking the client to do that unless I had a good reason. And logically, if they're paying money to see you in the capacity of whatever name you're giving yourself, that reason must be because it works by way of a treatment, because you've done it before. And as long as you're in that frame set, all those little elements come together into one and can look something like that, or however you want it to look. That's the beauty of this. When you get back to the basics, you don't need to ever do any other courses. Because when you see something advertised, go back to the basics, and you'll be able to work out exactly how to do it yourself anywhere. So, you know, don't keep throwing your money away to find out these wonderful hidden, magical, holy grail secrets, because the holy grail, A, it doesn't exist, and B, if it did, the holy grail is that it doesn't get any more complicated than that. So it's been a wonderful weekend having you all here. No, but we are going to slightly complicate matters over the weekend. In a simplistic manner, I hope. We are going to teach you some more different ways, but all of the things I will show you, and all of the things you'll participate in, all go back to that same thing, distraction of the mind, future pacing, embedded commands. So I'm not going to spend all weekend when I demonstrate these things pointing out all of those elements. Hopefully by now you've got the idea to look out for them. Okay? Right, tremendous. So, we will come back to that in a minute. No, we won't. In fact, we will go... Where are we? Oh, suggestibility test. It's alright, we're running on time, That's good, good. Because sometimes I get carried away. 2 are bad subject ploys. We'll go back to... This is more for group work or stage. But it's just another example of how, really, all we're doing is manipulative psychology, albeit with a positive intent of helping people. So, really, it's manipulative, but it's a good, nice manipulative, a helpful manipulative. So in a stage scenario, as well as having at work that wonderful, you've got to have good powers of intelligence, imagination and concentration to be a star of the show and all that. There's bound to be a couple of them that will react better than others. But that will only become evident as the show carries on. So near the beginning, I'll say over the microphone, well, ladies and gentlemen, I'd just like to warn you all that I actually think that there's 2 people on stage at the minute who, because of the environment we're in, probably won't go deep enough into trance in this environment to be an active part of the stage. Now, I'm not going to point them out and embarrass them or anything like that, because they might just surprise us. They might be able to concentrate enough. The reason you don't point anyone out is because you haven't got a fucking clue. But neither of the people who are sat there, they will all be sat there thinking, does he or she mean me? And because they've already made the step of coming to the stage and holding themselves up, and that backhanded command, embedded command of, I'm not going to name them or point them out, I don't want to embarrass them, implies that if they end up being one of the 2, they'll feel embarrassed and look daft. So in itself, it's kind of saying, look, you all best do what I say, because otherwise I'm going to make you look a complete tit. Then when deciphered, that's what you're doing. It's manipulative psychology to the core, it's wonderful. That's why you are always the winner on stage. And in therapy, the beauty of that, you see, on stage, you're in front of an audience. So you've got to stack things in your favour, so that if things go wrong, it looks like it's the audience or the volunteer's fault. It's never your fault. In therapy, one-to-one, it doesn't matter so much if you make a fuck-up, because you're doing it in private. And the only person that really knows you made a fuck-up is you. As long as you carry on as though nothing's happened, or whatever response you get from the client, you react as if that is the response you always get, so this is completely normal, it's wonderful, treatment's working. They don't know any different. So it doesn't matter if halfway through the session they suddenly sit up and go, bloody hell, Uncle Bertie did shag me on the birthday cake when I was younger. What's that got to do with my fear of driving? And you just go, that's fine, dear. Yeah, don't worry, this happens a lot. No, you're not on your own. This is completely normal. That's fine. When you're ready, just close your eyes. You just carry on as if it's completely normal. As long as you are don't visually look fazed by it, okay, they won't be, and they will assume that this is something you're experienced at, or had happened before, so it must have happened for a reason. And that reason is because it's going to help them. And as long as everything's manipulated to create that environment where that is what they come to believe, expect, and feel, then ultimately you've done your job. Because it will become a self-fulfilling prophecy. Okie-dokie. Use of stooges, etc. Question mark. Why did I write that on there? Oh, that's right, it's a question. Should you use stooges? Right. As a stage hypnotist, there is no reason whatsoever, if you put into action all of the manipulative psychology we've covered this morning, with some more that you'll learn over the weekend, there's absolutely no reason to use stooges, i.e. people you pay to play along, because you'll have an audience full of willing people who won't charge you anything, who you can quite easily manipulate to do it for you. As a therapist, well, why would you use a stooge as a therapist? This is the interesting one. And I will only cover it briefly because it does really point more into the marketing seminar that was a few weeks ago. But if you're going to go on a live television show, let's say you've approached them or bought the Secrets of Hypnotic Success DVDs and found out how to get yourself on TV and put it into action. I would strongly suggest that on a live TV show, which is going out on air, there and then as you do it, that it might look better for you if you get a guaranteed cure, rather than the person who was apparently scared of spiders than bringing out the triantula because it looks good on TV and them shitting themselves and passing out. I think it's fair to say it working would be a far better advert for you, and also, therefore, brainwash the people that then come to you as customers into believing how wonderful you are, so therefore you must be able to help them. Because it becomes infectious, it becomes the sheep effect. So, I'm not suggesting that people like Paul McKenna on This Morning will go to the lengths of perhaps getting people on there with apparent problems who'd previously done his NLP courses, so we knew they were easily manipulable. I'm not suggesting that would happen, no. And I would never dream of suggesting that you should pay people to play along on television, because airtime does cost rather a lot, even when they're pre-recording. It costs rather a lot, and you know, a fuck-up has to be filmed again, and it's studio time. I'm not suggesting that you find some very trusted friends or family or out-of-work actors, which isn't difficult, most of them are, and get them to sign a secrecy agreement whereby it says that they can never legally reveal to anyone that you've basically given them a script to follow. Because obviously it's a lot easier to cure somebody's fear of spiders if they're the person who actually owns the spider in the first place. You know? It does. It's weird. I've just found it is long. But you look good on TV then, right? You get your advertising, they get their airtime. Whatever you do, don't tell the TV company you're using a stooge law. They like to think you're doing it for real, right? They truly do. So, you know, fucking don't. But that, I think, common sense comes in there. You act exactly as if, and you go through all the process you would do normally, because they want something to film so they can show the edited highlights. But you can do it safe in the knowledge they're not going to shit themselves or pass out when it comes to the spider stage, or whatever the particular subject matter is that you're doing. So yeah, sometimes in some situations, stooges can be useful. In a group therapy session, I'm not suggesting that you may wish to coerce or manipulate in some manner, financial or otherwise, somebody to come along and act the part of being one of the group, and then when you say, has anyone here ever, you know, been hypnotised for any other problems in the past? I'm not suggesting that you've given them a script whereby they stand up and say, well, you might not actually remember me, but I came to one of your events 6 months ago, and I had this problem, and then they go into this wonderful, impressive story of how you changed their life dramatically. But if you were to do that, imagine what psychological effect it has on everyone else in the room. And just for the record, hey, I speak the truth, I've done all the things that regularly on television shows around the world. In fact, I can't think of any time I've been on television where the people I've hypnotised haven't been stooges. Okay, it just makes life easier. Ethics and morals, fuck them. That's what keeps your skin. Ethics and morals, out the window, do what you have to get what you want. And from an advertising point of view, it guarantees you the advertising, but also then, any future clients that come to you have already got this wonderful... To them then, if they saw that programme, you're up there on a pedestal with Paul McKenna, because they saw you on the telly. So you've already preconditioned, the precondition before they come. Ooh, and I hate the man, why do I have to say it so much? Oh. Paul, Mr. McKenna, a lot of people do know who he is, so if you get a client come to you, it can often be, especially if you're going to do something like tapping, say, have you seen that programme on TV, Paul McKenna's I Can Change Your Life? Well, you know what, you might have seen him doing a thing where there's tapping, well, we're going to use that on you because it's incredible. And you can kind of, by a phrase like that, attach his prestige to yourself in a psychological manner at that moment in time, so they feel like they're getting treated like Paul McKenna, so to speak. Albeit this is all going on at a flipping underlying psychological level. And probably what I'm saying is complete and utter bollocks. I don't know what's going on at an underlying psychological level in the head. I'm surmising what could be going on. But the point is, it won't be doing any harm. It will definitely be adding to the chances of success, and that's what really matters. Okie dokie, what else have we got? Oh yeah, nose, yeah, they all fucking look into my eyes, or around the eyes, into the eyes, or around the eyes, into the eyes, you're under. Especially now, because of Little Britain, a lot of people make that connection to hypnosis. The way to never break eye contact, it's a bit difficult with a full room, right? But if you focus on the person, the bridge of the nose, kind of around here, and it actually looks like you're staring through them then, they will always break eye contact first, which psychologically speaking makes them feel inferior at that time, which makes them, psychologically speaking, think you are more powerful. And because, you know, hypnosis is just a skill, isn't it? But people think it's a power. So go with the preconceived idea. Create the environment where they feel that which they expected. Right, we'll leave that probably to thumb to push net line. Yeah, bollocks, we'll do it now. Right. Another volunteer. Or I will just start picking on people. Right, we'll start off with you. Right, and then you're next. And then you're next. And sorry, take a seat, fella. Nice one. Just a couple of quick little points here. These are... Well, you can, actually, I do end up doing this in therapy, because I don't sit there and just talk to them. Because that blows the shit out of me. So I do stand up, walk around, lift their arms up and say, when I drop it, you'll send you deeper. And if it's a woman, well anyway, we won't go there, but it's a good viewing point. And you don't, well, that was a joke for the camera. Right, okay. This applies particularly to stage shows. You know, you'll see quite often the hypnotist walk up and you'll go, I'm just asleep, and then the head ends up forward kind of thing. People think that's just pure and simple a post-hypnotic suggestion because they were hypnotised. Well, yeah, there's an element of conditioning because you've told them that for the rest of this evening, when I tap you on the shoulder and say sleep, you'll close your eyes down, let your head fall forward, and re-enter this state. Doesn't matter what state they're in. You've told them exactly how to react, how you close your eyes, put your head down forward. So deciphered, you've told them how to react, so it looks to the audience as though they are hypnotised. So the irony of it is, with the stage hypnosis show, the people who are, I suppose, more hypnotised are the audience, because what they think is going on isn't really going on. But you can use this as in therapy as well if you want to. He's getting all twitchy and scared. But let's assume for a minute that we've done an induction on you. That doesn't come till the next page, but we'll pretend we have. And that this is the point where I should be able to come over to you and just go, sleep, close your eyes down. Which for this you're going to, but you're going to be a bit resistant and not put your head forward. Okay? Because in an ideal world you've got to sleep and they go, whoop, because you've conditioned them. But you're just going to close your eyes, but you're not going to put your head forward, so it's not going to look that good to the audience compared to the few that have just done it there. So I'm just asleep. Now I've got a choice at this point. I can either leave him looking like that and then it's going to look weird to the audience because the rest have done, or we can try and reinforce the conditioning. Now there's a point here on your neck where if you put your finger in, you'll feel it. It hurts if you push hard. And if I just gently push with that finger, it will hurt. But there's a funny thing, right? And then with your thumb, we're going to do this on the back of the head, very, very lightly. So the bit of pain, but at the same time, I'll gently push forward there. Now, as you move your head forward, that pain disappears, doesn't it? Yeah, that's right. Because as you lean forward, moves the position of the tendon. So the pressure they were feeling disappears. People, as a rule, don't like pain. And the moment they feel it, before it gets to the point of, I'm going to open my eyes, what's the bastard up to? You just gently, with your thumb, and I mean really gently, can you just sit sideways on a sec? Cheers, man. Thank you very much. Very gently. So the pain there, but very gently. That's all. In fact, the gentler the better, because otherwise they tend to resist and lean their head back. You do them at the same time, and they very quickly, albeit they may not be consciously aware of it, get anchored, conditioned, call it what you will, to the fact that if finger comes near neck and hurts, but head forward, no pain. And it is. And sometimes I'll do that in therapy. Now, so-called deepness, you know, sometimes I go, in a few moments' time, I'm going to lift your hand up and I'll drop it down gently into your lap, and it'll just serve as a sign and a signal to relax more completely with every breath that you take, every noise that you hear. Now, in a stage show, you don't want to walk up to them, lift their arm up, let go, and it stays there like that. It's going to look a bit naff when you said it's going to drop like a heavy lead weight, a loose limb rag doll. And in therapy also, you don't really want to have said that it's going to drop and then let go and they keep their arm there. Because then that's like, well, up till now, everything that's been said to me happened, but suddenly something's not happened. Oh, that means it's not working anymore. But the beauty of it is they've got their eyes closed at this point. So when you lift their hand up, and you say, in a few moments, I'm just going to drop your arm into your lap, and when I do, you just relax. And brilliant, just relax deeper, deeper. That looks a bit more like relaxation, doesn't it? Well, ooh, getting wide up there. When you pick it up, this finger moves back and goes onto the wrist. So that's actually how we're picking it up. When we let go, all we need to do is let that finger extend, and it has more than enough force as you let go to flick their arm down into the lap, which visually is at a speed that looks like it's heavy and loose. It also bangs down into their lap so they feel it dropping, which is consistent with the psychological idea of being heavy and loose. So it does then, anchored with the command of, just as a sign and a signal to relax more, serve as a deepener, psychological convincer, another bit of bullshit, call it what you will. But it leads them further down that garden path. Thank you for volunteering for that, dear boy. You're quite safe now, you can stand. He's all scared. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? What are we going to do? You're right, you take your seats. Cheers. Thank you. Okay, where are we? We're having a brew break at 4, aren't we? So if I dash along, I should get these suggestibility tests done. Mostly by then, hopefully. Right. Wherever you are in the room, this applies to everyone. And if you're watching this, you can do it at home. Not when you're driving home. Okay, I want each and every one of you, and it's easier if you've not got stuff in your hands, but either way, it just works to a lesser degree, that's all. We'll start off with the age-old ones. Just take your right arm, place it out in front of your right arm, that is. That's wonderful. Make a fist. Please don't hit anyone. Just make a gun. Don't shoot anyone, but make a circle. Your ring of confidence. I want you to do exactly what I say, okay? I want you to do, what I say, not what I do. Do what I say, not what I do on the count of 3, okay? Looking directly at me. 1, getting ready for this, okay? 2, and on 3, just touch it to your chin like that. That's brilliant. I said to your chin, not to your cheek. You all, the majority of you fell for that. Wonderful. Because that's what hypnosis is. It's just the power of suggestion, whether that is visual or auditory, spoken. And the visual suggestion there was to follow my hand to your cheek, and yet I told you in advance, go for your chin. That works on the majority of people. And there is no trick to it, it's just the wording. What you heard me say, you try it, 9 times out of 10 that works. But the beauty of these is you say this is not hypnosis, these are just imagination exercises to see which would be the best way to hypnotise you today. Because that way, whatever response you get is a success. Because you can just respond, brilliant. That tells me the best way to help you is. So none of them are you ever going to fail with, because Any result is a result, and it's just the way you present it. Okay, there's verbal suggestion as well. So I'm going to give you a word to say in a minute. I want you all to say it, and every time I point at you, you're going to say that word, and you're going to get louder. Then I'm going to shout out a question. When I shout out this question, I want you to instinctively answer the first thing that comes directly into your mind, okay? So we're going to spell silk. S-I-L-K. S-I-L-K, silk. Say it. Silk. Louder. Silk. Louder. Silk. Louder. Silk. Faster. Silk. What the cows drink. Water. There's always one or two, you see. That's why it's good to do these in groups, because then the ones that work on some people, visual, on others the verbal ones work. We'll try another one like that. Tops. T-O-P-S, okay? Like spinning tops. 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 Faster. Tops. Louder. What do you do at a green traffic light? There was an increasing number of people said stop then. I wouldn't want to be in a car with you. All it is word association. The majority of people, when it comes to it, because it sounds like it's say milk, because of silk. The majority of people say stop, because it sounds like tops. It doesn't get any more complicated than that. But I use things like that at the start of a show to get the audience warmed up and laughing, or at the start of a group therapy session to kind of give them this bullshit psychobabble explanation that hypnosis is verbal and physical or visual suggestion, and this is how it works. Here's a little example. Do the ring, do silk. And you're doing that preconditioning brainwashing that, oh yeah, something really does happen here. Arm drop, well we just covered that, because that was for the deep now. Alright, yeah, brilliant. Everyone, arms out in front of you like so. That's brilliant, thank you. And interlock your fingers, so the fingers of the left hand are against the back of the right hand, palms pressed tightly together, thumbs down on top. Squeeze your hands together just as tightly as you can, and then extend your forefingers if you would be so kind. And then separate your fingers about an inch. If that's an inch, I've got no fucking worries. So, that's fine, yeah, brilliant. Look directly at me. I'm going to count backwards from 3 to 1. If you concentrate, stare directly at me, you'll find by the count of 1 your fingertips will be touching. It's almost as low on 3. You'll realise now that your fingertips have got magnets on, drawing them closer and closer together with every breath you take, every noise you hear, every word I say, every thought that you think. On 2, realising it's as though somebody's got a piece of rope around your fingers and they're pulling that rope tighter and tighter, pulling them closer and closer together with every breath that you take. Every noise that you hear, every word that I say, it's as though somebody's turned on these magnets and they're actually electromagnets, getting closer and closer and closer and closer. And on 1, fucking tremendous, I can see that's just about pretty much everybody in the room. If I wanted to at this point, I would then go, right, now close your eyes and going into induction, straight in, because your mind would now be focused on something genuinely happened. The fact of the matter is, it gets no more complicated than this. Put your hands out in front of you, interlock your fingers, separate your fingers about an inch. Look at me, or look at one point, and forget about your fingers for a couple of minutes, and then we'll naturally start to draw in. It's a physical reaction. Yeah, you could stop them and go back, but you're telling people to, you know, allow this to happen. It naturally happens. So all you've got to do, especially with a group, because you can see them, is keep waffling on and time your numbers from 3 down to 1 so you see the majority have gone, and then you go, and on 1, look at your fingertips, brilliant, the majority of it, and everyone looks around the room and goes, bloody hell, it's worked on everyone, and that's the infectious sheep effect of, oh, this is going to work for me, what we're going to do next kind of thing. It's all part of that brainwashing, conditioning, everything, hopefully you're starting to see interlinked together. And perhaps hopefully makes a lot more sense now than it may have done this morning. Okay, we've just done fingers closing together. Shall we try this one on everyone? Yeah, we've got time. Okay. Hands out in front of you. Tremendous. Hands out in front of you like so. Interlock your fingers, so the fingers of the left hand are against the back of the right hand, fingers of the right hand against the back of the left hand. Press your palms tightly together for a few moments. Thumbs down on top. Squeeze them together and then do what I do, but you don't have to stand up. Just take your hands, push them away from you like that, above your head, and look directly up at the back of your hands. Look directly at the back of your hands. I am going to count from 3 to 1. On the count of 1, if you keep staring at your hands, If you use your powers of intelligence, imagination and concentration effectively, as I'm sure you will, then you will find on the count of 1, when we get to it, that your hands will be locked, glued, welded, cemented in place. It'll be impossible to separate your hands until I clap my hands as a sign and a signal for you all. But starting with the count of 3, staring at the back of your hands, that's wonderful. And as you do, nice deep breath in, and then out. That's brilliant, just a sign and a signal to realise now that you can use your powers of mind on the count of 3. To realise it's almost as though your fingers are locking, gluing, welding, cementing to the back of your hands. 2, tighter and stiffer, every muscle from your wrist, elbows, shoulders, locked, glued, welded, cemented in place. On 1, keep pushing them high towards the sky, towards the rainbow, like you're trying to reach the rainbow. But as you keep trying to reach the rainbow, reaching up at all times, reaching high, aiming for the sky, keep pushing up and try and separate your hands. Keep pushing up, the more you try, the tighter they get, getting tighter and stiffer. Keep pushing up high into there, getting tighter and stiffer. The moment I clap my hands, they'll all separate. 1, 2. You can separate your hands. You can separate your hands now. Back in the room, back in the room. Brilliant. I think that was just about everybody. Tremendous. Fucking brilliant. And you know why I love it so much? Because as long as people do what you ask them to do, it's guaranteed to work. Presentational wise, yeah, the numbers were backwards. I got you breathing a bit, because hopefully staring at your hands it'll get a bit skew-whiffy on the eyes and feel a bit funny, ideally. I'm talking very fast, so that hopefully I'm going to confuse you. What the hell is he on about? The disorientation and confusion. But I made it quite clear at the beginning what's going to happen and when. On the count of 1, your hands will be locked together. Until I clap my hands, then they will separate. A wonderful phrase, just so long as you use your powers of intelligence, imagination and concentration. Blame's on you then, if it doesn't work. Not my fault. And just so long as you concentrate on the back of your hands, and the key one of all, keep pushing high towards the sky, towards the rainbow. The reason for that is if you take your hands like that, push them above your head, as long as you push them upwards, it's practically physically impossible to separate your hands in that position if you're pushing them fully outstretched. But if we drew too much attention to that, people might twig on what we were doing. That's why we use phraseology like, and yeah, that's it, reaching for the sky, aiming for the top, high towards the sky, towards the rainbow. It's just an encoded way of saying, look, as long as you keep pushing your hands in the air, they're not going to come apart. Until I distract you by clapping my hands and say, now you can separate them. What do you automatically do? You stop pushing them up in the air. You lower them a bit, they come apart. It's a physical trick that's guaranteed to work as long as you phrase your suggestions in a manner where they have only one meaning, are easy to understand, can't be misinterpreted, and that the people actually join in and do what you say. And in a group scenario it then becomes infectious, because obviously you wouldn't, after doing it, tell them how it was done. You'd logically at that point say, okay everyone, brilliant, hands are separate, put your hands on your lap, and you go straight into an induction process. So they wouldn't have time to think about it. They wouldn't have time to start examining what went on, why it worked, because by the time they're anywhere close to working it out, you're doing something else. And then the mind's like, well, what's going on now? And then they get even more confused. So they start feeling somewhat weird and special taking place. There's a couple of variations on that. If some people have got really knackered up arms, or for whatever reason, and perhaps can't push them high in the air, you can always get them to put their hands on the head and say that they will kind of pull them down on their head. Because then what your head's doing is pushing them up in the air the same way as if you were outstretching, and in that position again it becomes practically impossible to separate your hands as long as you're pulling them downwards, because then your fingers are getting arched upwards. Or they could do it away from themselves, but then they're really going to have to be pushing away so they're getting the same emphasis. I just find it easier to suggest towards the sky, towards the rainbow. It's an easy mental image to conjure up. Okay, next one, each and every one of you. Brilliant. Arms out in front of you like so, if you will be so kind. What I'd like each and every one of you to do now is take your left, okay, palm, and turn it face upwards, and your right palm face downwards, put them roughly in line with each other, You can do it with a pen in your mouth as well, Laurie, yeah. It's unusual, but bit of a turn job. And just all close your eyes and concentrate on your hands. All close your eyes, concentrate on your hands. I'm going to count backwards from 5 down to 1. On the count of 1, some very unusual things will take place, or will have taken place, because what I'd like you to imagine on the count of 5 is that on the palm of your left hand is a pile of leather-bound library books. Very heavy leather-bound library books, starting to push your left hand down lower and lower with every breath that you take, every noise that you hear, every word that I say. And I want you to also imagine that tied to the middle finger of your right hand, is a bunch of helium balloons, very light, rising up into the air with every breath that you take, every noise that you hear, and every word that I say. And on 4, that pile of leather-bound library books getting heavier and heavier, pushing down lower and lower with each second that passes by. On 3, that bunch of helium balloons connected to the middle finger of your right hand, rising higher, drifting up into the air. That's wonderful with every breath that you take. Every noise that you hear, every word that I say, that's brilliant. Lower and lower, those library books on 2, getting so heavy now. Somebody's added another 10 books to the pile, getting so heavy now. And the middle finger of your right hand, somebody's got an extra set of 10 helium balloons and tied those on now, so getting so light, rising up, uplifting, right now on 1. On 1, just open your eyes and see what your new reality is. For some of you it's a dramatic change, for others it's quite a bit. That just lets me know which of you are going to be easiest to hypnotise here today. Or whatever other bullshit you wanted to say after it. It could be straight off after that. Oh brilliant, that tells me the best way to hypnotise you is this. Generally speaking, everyone to a greater or lesser extent will experience a difference. Because after a while, having your arms in that position, especially with your eyes closed, because then you're not looking at them, your arm, this one especially, starts to get knackered. This is the irony of it. This is the one you're going to say, go up in the air. But it does start to get knackered. So the easy way would be to lower your arm down, wouldn't it? The easiest way to remove the so-called pain. But if you move it just that little bit after you've got that tension, where it, if you stick your arm out, you'll see what I mean, but you start to get a bit of tension kind of round here. But if you actually do what I say and just lift your hand a tiny bit, you feel a great sense of relief then. Oh, that's better, it doesn't feel painful anymore. And after a while it'll feel a bit painful, so what you're going to do, perhaps without even thinking about it, oh that's better, I don't feel... And what's happening? It's going higher up. And your left one is going to get knackered, palm upwards, after a while. But it doesn't matter, because that's the one that you want to go down anyway. And in that position with the palm up, it's a lot easier to just let it go down than it is to go that way, because that way actually tightens the tendons and it hurts more. And that's an important point, because in the books, not all of them tell you which way around to have the hands. But the way to remember it is right hand R, so R for right, rising. Think of balloons rising in the air. So that hand wants to be the one that's going up, hence palm downwards. Left hand, leather-bound library books going lower. So it's all the letter L for the left hand. Just an easy idiot's way to remember, because otherwise I get confused. And to a greater or lesser extent, people actually, end up physically seeing, experiencing, and witnessing within themselves or other people in the room, if it's infectious, something instantly taking place that's being presented as either a lead-in to hypnosis, or, as I'll show in a minute, you could turn that into an induction. But because they have witnessed something, experienced it, felt it, that was tangible, believable and instant, they are more likely then to believe that other things you do are believable, tangible, and will be instant. So it's further along the wonderful path of brainwashing. Right, yeah, we did this morning actually, but I think, did we? I can't remember, but if I did, we're going to repeat it and explain why it works. So, I believe you were our next volunteer. Please. You was hoping I'd forgotten then, really. No. This is just the warm-up, tomorrow everyone like it lumpy, it's going to come up here at some point. And thank you, sir. Right, which one are we doing here? Oh yeah, that's right. Tremendous. Who's familiar with Dave Alman? Okay, Alman eye closure technique. Okay. Now the idea with this allegedly is that if you close your eyes, may as well do it, so close your eyes. And this is one of those that only works if you cooperate and concentrate and use your powers of intelligence, imagination and concentration. Seriously, what I'd like you to do is just imagine all the little muscles in your eyes, okay? I'm going to count from 3 to 1. On the count of 1, if you concentrate, as I'm sure you will, and use your powers of intelligence, imagination and concentration effectively, you'll find that on the count of 1, it'll be almost as if your eyes are super glued together, but not in a bad way, just in a calm, relaxing, peaceful, safe and secure manner. So on 3, nice deep breath in, and then out. Gets fresh air into the bloodstream, oxygenates the blood, helps you relax more with every breath that you take, every noise that you hear, every word that I say. As on 2, I'd like you to imagine now there's a little control panel in your mind's eye. Some of you will see it clearly, for others it will just be a word, a statement. But it's a control panel that allows you to turn off all the little muscles in your eyes, all the little muscles around your eyes, all the little muscles in your eyelids. And I want you to imagine turning the switch off. So there's no power whatsoever getting to your eyes, all those little muscles. It's almost like they're fast asleep, locked, shut down for now. And on 1, only at a time that feels right for you. But when you are certain that you've turned off the power to your eyes, when you know, and you will know within yourself, once you know that, then just prove it to yourself by trying to open your eyes. And just so long as you've turned the power off, you'll find that you can't, and it just serves as a sign and a signal to relax more completely. That's brilliant. And then 1, 2, 3, you can open your eyes, back in the room. Wonderful. Good. Of those people that close their eyes, the majority were doing they won't open. The phraseology of the harmony, it's very cheeky, it's very clever. Unfortunately, it's not 100% guaranteed to work on everybody. But the phraseology is, as soon as you know that you've turned off the power to your eyes, when and only when you know they won't work, then just prove it to yourself. How, you know, what a wonderful job you've done. It's ego boosting. And to open their eyes at that point is to say that they didn't do what they were asked to do, so they're in a bit of a catch-22 situation, really. Especially if you're doing it as part of the show, because they're going to look a cunt in front of a big audience. On a 1-to-1, they might feel a bit safer about opening their eyes. But it's not guaranteed to work on everyone, because they might, you know, they might misunderstand, a noise might go off of that. There's so many connotations, so I like to use this version. So what I'd like you to do, sir, is just take a nice deep breath in. And then just close your eyes down. Brilliant, let you have your head fall forward. Brilliant, that's great. I've got my fingertip on your forehead. That's perfectly normal, don't worry. I'm going to count from 3 to 1. On the count of 1, if you concentrate, as I'm sure you will, you'll find at this point I'm touching on your forehead. That point will serve as a sign and a signal to you. A sign and a signal that your eyes will be locked, glued, welded, cemented in place, bolted shut, in a safe, calm, relaxing and secure way for you, in a way that's right. So on 3, imagining now, keeping your eyes closed, that it's almost as if there's an arrow pointing from that eye to that hole in your head. From that eye to that hole in your head. Just look up with your eyes towards that little hole, almost as though you've got a little white, bright light peering in through your forehead, serving as a wonderful, satisfying, relaxing sign and a signal that your eyes can close. 2, keep staring up with your eye to this point. That's wonderful. Keep staring up, looking at that white, bright light. White, bright light. And as you keep looking at that white, bright, relaxing light on the count of 1, keep staring at this point. But as you keep staring at that point, just try and open your eyes. Keep staring at that point. That's wonderful. Keep staring at that point. The moment I remove my finger, that very instant, your eyes will open. Wow. Now, feels a bit weird, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Right, how? Well, the important bit was my finger on your head. And you obviously felt me then kind of guiding where I wanted you to look with your eyeballs. Essentially, once your eyes are closed, because your eyeballs go upwards normally, unless you've got some kind of weird problem. If you focus the attention on this white, we're saying white, healing, relaxing, arty-farty like, because then we can build it into an induction if we wanted to, instead of just being a suggestibility test. But as long as you get them looking at like the top of a pyramid, and then you've got them fixated on the fingertip, because then you can just wiggle your finger as you go, keep staring at the white line. As long as they keep staring, you can try this yourself, taking your own finger on your own forehead, close your eyes, look at your fingertip, wiggle your finger around, and as long as you keep staring at this imaginary hole in your head where the fingertip is, it's impossible to open your eyes, because of the position your eyeballs are in. So it's then, when you take the finger away, obviously you can open your eyes because the fixation goes away from that point to somewhere else. But as you see, it looks pretty damned impressive, and it's a great party trick in pubs and stuff for when people ask you to do something, you know, and you give your card out. Because that way, it's clear. You've seen the way the suggestions are structured, clear, can only have one meaning. You're telling them what's going to happen, when it's going to happen, how it's going to happen, and we're adding in what sounds like flowery psychobabble language of this is a lovely white safe. You know, your eyes will be shut, but in a safe, secure, calm way. The reason for that phrase is because, you know, for some people, understandably, the idea of not being able to open your eyes could be a bit scary. So we'll overcome the problem before it becomes one by putting in the suggestion that it'll be safe, calm, and secure. Brilliant. If you'd like to stand up, please, for this one. There you go. And just walk this way a little bit. Face the front. Smile. You're in show business now. Feet together. That's wonderful. We did do this morning. I'm just going to recap because I want to explain what's actually going on, why it works, so to speak. Because this is wonderful. All of these, by the way, suggestibility tests can be used as little demonstrations of mind power. They can be used as, look, I hypnotise people, but I've not got time to do that, but let me show you something interesting. See, if we can do that here in just a few seconds, imagine what we could do if you came and saw me for a one-to-one session. They can be used as convincers to get people up on stage at a stage show. Or, with a slight adaptation, they can be used as actual inductions to get the people flaked out, which I'll come to shortly, because that's the next step along the brainwashing path that I'm taking you all on. Brilliant. Right arm out in front of you like that, if you would be so kind, sir. Make a fist, thumb in the air, that's wonderful, and stare directly at your thumb. On the count of 3, and only on the count of 3, keeping your feet together at all times, you're just going to move at the waist, and you're going to move your thumb and follow it with your eyes, but only on the count of 3. And this is not about being macho or a hard man or showing off, it's about being honest and cooperating and stopping when it does become the least bit painful. So, 1, 2, 3, just follow your thumb with your eyes, moving at the waist, keeping your feet, and stop when it feels painful. Just take notice of where you are in the background, so you'd remember it if you were to see it again. And then just follow your thumb back with your eyes. That's brilliant, and just close your eyes down. And imagine doing that same thing again, except this time it's purely imaginary. Something you once thought would be difficult to achieve in life is about to prove itself so ridiculously easy. Just as you once had that problem in the past where you got stressed out in certain situations. So, this will prove as a sign and a signal to you that from this day forward you can handle those challenges in life with the greatest of ease. So imagine in your mind's eye, moving your thumb, following it with your eyes, getting to the point where you see the screen, the speaker, then the flip chart. And this is really bizarre, it's only imaginary, it's a dream, but your dreams can come true right now, realising that you move further and further in your mind's eye. Notice how good that feels in every nerve, fibre and tissue and muscle of your body, from the tips of your toes to the tips of your fingers. And the moment in your mind's eye you've seen yourself make that achievement, make that change in your life right now, then and only then just open your eyes. Look at your thumb on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3, follow your thumb with your eyes. Notice how much further you can go, how much easier it is going further. Brilliant. We were here, we were there, yeah? Considerably further, yeah? That just proves to me, as a sign and a signal, that you will be able to make those changes in your life. Give him a round of applause for just that. Oh, which other whatever other bullshit way you then want to anchor it. That means that you will be able to stop smoking today, or that means that you will be a good hypnotic subject, or that tells me that you can increase your sales productivity by 25%. Whatever bullshit you want to attach on the end, you've got that perfect moment of realisation that something genuine, tangible and physical that they've experienced has happened. How does it work? Right. It's debatable whether the wording's got anything to do with it. But the first time round, I say, you know, this is not about being macho or showing off. It's about cooperation and concentration. A nice way of saying, please do what I say. For the first time when they do it, they'll get wherever and they'll stop. Because I say, stop the moment it becomes the least bit painful. Emphasis on the word pain. Not nice. People want to avoid pain. So, first time they might go, and then you bring them back slowly. And you say, imagine doing it in your mind's eye again. That's all time killing. Psychobabble. The fact, and anchoring whatever you want. You know, when you achieve this, it's a sign and a signal that you can also do whatever. The fact is, doing that the first time, warming up the muscles. Guess what? If you all try it, the second time you'll naturally go further. Unless you've got some weird back problem. That's perhaps a difference. And also the second time we say, okay, now you've got your new reality. When you know you can go further, is there an embedded command? When you know you can go further. Perhaps, debatable, possible, but I think it's just the warm-up that does it. And we also say the second time, you know, you'll feel no discomfort whatsoever. Discomfort's a far nicer word than pain, and implies that they will be able to go further. And the results are as you've just seen, and you can have great fun at the karaoke night where you're going stalking people, and barmaids and stuff, just going up to people and doing that on them. You might get locked up, but in a white jacket by the end of the night, but you'll also find that a lot of people will end up asking you for business cards. And so, that's using it as a suggestibility test, or in that case, as an example, I just went in for the sake of it, of how you'd anchor it, or attribute it, that because that happened. It's false logic, it's false psychology, this. Why, because that happened, should it make any fucking difference to the person's phobia? Why? It just... But if you say it at that moment in time, well, bloody hell, yeah, it seems the most logical thing on the planet that because you were able to do that so rapidly and help them effect that change, that other embedded command that you might have noticed, hopefully by now, that I used before. Change your life right now in your mind's eye. Embedded command and future pacing, all the elements going in together. Some of them may be relevant, some of them may not, but you may as well chuck them all in the pot, because then it doesn't matter examining which one of them's worked, because for some people, one element's going to work better than the others. So chuck them all in the pot. Law of averages on your side there. Right. Okay. Rubrics. I'll do that later. Turning these into inductions, because all it is about flexibility. That's one of the messages I want to give you before we finish today, because tomorrow we'll leave the needles and surgery till tomorrow, I think. We won't be doing pain control and jabbing people and some serious shit like that. It's about being flexible, thinking on your feet. Especially so on stage, or the stage hypno show, because you don't know how many pints this nut has had, when he's going to throw up, fall off the chair. You really have got to think on your feet and adapt and look like this always happens. But the same with therapy. Nobody, it's a wonderful paradox, nobody is a stereotypical textbook case. And yet, as we all probably know from experience, the majority of bloody clients are. You know, they've got that particular problem, 9 times out of 10, that's going to be the cause. But there's always going to be an exception to the rule. And that's where being flexible and adaptable comes in, thinking on your feet. Now yes, admittedly, the suggestibility test I've shown you, or as we're going to use them now, perhaps as inductions, are ones that I've used a lot over the years. They're the ones that I've ended up feeling comfortable with. But most of all, they're the ones I'm showing you, because all of them have a physical reason why they work so well on people. Because people do physically find they can't open their hands as long as they do what you say. And it's not down to suggestion, it's down to the position their hands are in. Or the same with the eyes, it's down to the position they're in. So you're stacking the odds in your favour to brainwash them down that wonderful garden path, as it were. So, with a little thought and ingenuity, using the building blocks that we covered this morning, which at the time some of you might have thought, God, I've heard this on so many courses before. Probably not in the manner I explain it, but using those building blocks, you can now, when you go away at the end of the weekend, be able to pick up any book or see any technique being done. And back engineering, how would I go about achieving that? Well, you might want to come up with your own technique and think, right, well, what elements can I throw in embedded command this? Yeah, you can guarantee to lock their eyes together like that, so we could do that first and then tell them to do... And that's how you create your own new techniques, by taking the building blocks and the elements and just putting them in a different order, or giving them a different name. Oh no, that's NLP. But essentially, you know, right, for this I'd like, where were we next? We were to you, sir, then it went over this way, wasn't it? Next volunteer. Everyone's looking blank now. Go on, I'll pick on you. Go on, this gentleman then. Take a seat, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. So, I'm going to give you a bit of an example, because we're not doing the inductions as such yet, but I'm going to give you a quick example of how, just taking it a few bits of psychobabble further, one of these convincers, mind tricks, suggestibility tests, call them what you will, use them how you want, because it just comes down to what context you put them across in, can very easily be adapted into, well, what you're about to see. So hopefully this will work quite well today. Brilliant. So what I'd like you to do is just put your feet a little bit more in. Well, in a way that feels comfortable for you. If you felt more comfortable the other way, that's great. Whatever feels good for you, that's brilliant. I'd like to place both your arms out in front of you, if you'd be so kind. And just place your left palm upwards in the air. Brilliant. Make them roughly level, that's brilliant. Out in front of you. And just close your eyes down. Take a nice deep breath in through your nose. And then out through your mouth. I'm going to count backwards from 10 down to 1. On the count of 1, if you concentrate, as I'm sure you will, and you use your powers of intelligence, imagination, and concentration effectively, you will find some strange, interesting things start to happen. And each of these things will merely serve as a sign and a signal to relax more completely now on the count of 10. It's almost as if on the palm of your left hand is a pile of leather-bound library books getting heavier and heavier with each second that passes by. And tied to the middle finger of your right hand is a big, 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 big bunch of helium balloons rising up more into the air on 9. The balloons rising up, uplifting arm right now on the palm of your left hand, those leather-bound library books. Somebody's stuck another couple of volumes on a dictionary, getting heavier and heavier and heavier as on 8. With every nice, deep, relaxing breath that you take, every noise that you hear, every word that I say and every thought that you think, serving as a sign and a signal to make that pile of leather-bound library books heavier, right now getting lower, as you also realise that helium balloons, somebody's tied a big, huge bunch onto the top of the original bunch, getting lighter and lighter. 7. With every word I say, every thought you think, getting lower on the left, higher on the right. 6. Serving as a sign and a signal to help each and every nerve, fibre, tissue and muscle in your body, from the tips of your toes to the tips of your fingers, start to become so limp, so loose, so relaxed, so heavy, so tired, except for on 5, your right hand does start to continue going higher into the air as those balloons rise up, and the left palm getting down lower. 4, deeper and deeper. 3, eyes remaining tightly closed at all times unless I say otherwise. Keeping your eyes tightly closed at all times unless I say otherwise. 2, relaxing more. And in a few moments I'm going to do something really rather strange, But keeping your eyes closed. Here, your left palm, those leather-bound library books, getting so heavy now, so heavy, so heavy, so heavy. In fact, starting to sink down, sinking down, drifting down, sinking down, drifting down. When I lift your arm up in a few moments' time, it serves as a sign and a signal to relax more completely, and you'll find that your arm just becomes heavy, limp and loose like a rag doll. Heavy, limp and loose like a rag doll. That's wonderful. And now in a few moments' time, on the count of 1, I'm going to do something strange. I'm just going to cut the string on those balloons. So we can let your arm on the right-hand side just sink down on the count of 1, right? Now, drifting down deeper. Take a nice deep breath in. Keep your eyes closed, let your head just fall forward, drifting down deeper, 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 deeper. The deeper you go, the better you'll feel. And the better you'll feel, the deeper you go. With every breath that you take, every noise that you hear, and every word that I say, eyes remaining tightly closed at all times unless I say otherwise. Eyes remaining tightly closed at all times unless I say otherwise. Now, by any other name, I think you'd call that, well, most people would call that something that looks like a hypnotic induction, relatively speaking. And all we did was take the light and heavy hands thing and then just cutting the string and the arm sinking. Turn it into induction. Key phrase, keep your eyes tightly closed at all times, which oddly enough most people do. But 1, 2, 3, lighter and brighter, 4, 5, back in the room, open your eyes, bing! Thank you very much. Give this gentleman a round of applause for being a wonderful volunteer. Thank you. So with a bit more psychobabble added, you feel your eyes alright, you're really going for it there, weren't you? Good man. By adding a bit more psychobabble on the end, you can turn any of these into an induction. Why bother getting them to open their eyes again after they found they can't open them? Why not just go up to them and say, take a nice deep breath in, just relax. You prove now that you can keep your eyes closed. That's an embedded man. You prove now that you can keep your eyes closed. And then gently push the head forward, keeping the finger there for a minute so that the weight goes onto your finger, so that when you take the finger away, it feels like they're suddenly sinking down. And then just go straight into your deepener or your script or whatever therapy you're going to do, because at the end of the day, stage show-wise, they're either going to do it or they're not. They're either going to make a tit of themselves or they're not. It's as simple as that. And therapeutic-wise, they're either going to sit there and keep their eyes closed and cooperate and concentrate on what you suggest to them, which could be fundamentally worthless if you so desired, but as long as the placebo effect kicks in, belief and expectancy, then it will still be useful for them. Or, if you're a nice, caring, sharing hypnotherapist, you actually put some form of therapy into it that is beneficial as well, like positive visualizations and stuff that I term complete mind therapy, that we'll be covering tomorrow. We'll just go straight into it, because it's either going to work or it isn't, or it's going to work to a greater or lesser degree. So why do you need to spend half an hour getting them to stare at a light? To ultimately, what's the point in it? Ultimately, to get them to close their eyes. Look at that, deep breath in, just close your eyes. And a wonderful phrase, just so long as you keep your eyes tightly closed at all times, then this will be successful for you. Which is a nice way of saying keep your eyes shut. You can't. Sorry, I didn't know. In general, people, you understand. But it is a nice way of saying don't open your bastard eyes. Then it's going to look good if it's stage or in therapy. They're not going to see you reading the script if you take one out of the desk or whatever. Or see you having a crafty fag where you play it. I don't know. Whatever turn job. But also then if you come out with a phrase like, that's brilliant. So, and if you think back, you'll have heard me use these phrases regularly when I've been doing these demos. That's because I practice what I teach. So there's just so long as you use your powers of intelligence, imagination and concentration. Just so long as you keep your eyes tightly closed at all times, then this will be successful for you. And if you really want to hedge your bets, and it's therapy you're doing, you could add in a phrase like, this is an experience that's different for everyone, but you've got a sense and a feeling that you will experience this in a way that's exactly right for you. In other words, it doesn't matter what the fuck they feel, don't feel, think, imagine, because that's what was right for them. And they're not going to open their eyes because otherwise they look like they've got no intelligence, imagination or concentration. And, well, you see how it kind of all fits together? We're very, very close to the 4 o'clock brew break, which is also when I'm going to go and ring the restaurant and book taxis for us for 7:45. We're back in here on the dot, please, after this brew break, at no later than, definitely no later than 4:30, preferably 25 past, so we can get started on time, because we've got quite a bit more to deal with. But before the brew break, let me throw in a curveball, because all of this so far can be adapted to stage therapy. I think you've by now seen it, just how you package it, label it, or present it, and in what context or what psychobabble you link on. What to do if somebody doesn't go under. Now, this isn't one I suggest for therapy, but it is one that works as a laughing group sessions, and yes, I've used it there. And it also works for stage shows. So as you're nearby, sir, if you'd like to come forward. It's not that I'm picking on you, you understand. Brilliant. So let's imagine I've just been doing an induction on various people, and I've come to you and gone, and sleep, and you're still sat there. And I'm walking off, muttering under my breath, bastard. Well, after I've had that split moment of insanity, I think, right, okay, we've either got to take control of this situation and get him to close his eyes, because at the very least, if he sits there for a while with his eyes closed, to the audience it will look like he's hypnotised, and then if after 5 minutes or so he opens his eyes, you can go, oh, never mind, oh, you've come out of trance, some people drift in, some drift out, but that embeds it in the audience's mind that you did actually get him under hypnosis. Because it's all about the perception here, right? So we need to take control of this. How are we going to get him to do that? Well, we're going to make him look a cunt. I apologise in advance. You wouldn't tell them that before you did it. Obviously, you understand. Yeah, but we are going to make you look a cunt. Sorry about that. Now, what so ironically happens here is sometimes that when you do what I'm about to do and you say sleep, when the people do it, occasionally they'll have such a belief in you as a hypnotist now that they've seen a few other people go under that although they didn't cooperate to start with, the moment they say sleep, in the way you'll see in a second, they end up falling to the floor like a sack of shit and they're out of it because they just wanted a bit more attention. They wanted to stand out from the rest of the crowd. So kind of a positive exhibitionist. But if that doesn't happen, which happens quite a lot more often than you'd imagine in a stage show context because of the psychology that's going on that we covered this morning, you've got an out, as we call it, a way out that makes you look good, makes you look like you knew what was going to happen, makes you look in control, gets a laugh from the audience, puts him in his place, not I'm suggesting, no. And also, psychologically, has a knock-on effect of, if you like, deepening the trance for everyone else, because they'll think, fucking hell, I don't want to be made to do anything like that, so I better cooperate. So, we're going from bastard, he didn't go under, to, I'll tell you what, I've been doing this job now for 16 years, 14 years of age, I started doing this job all over the world, and you are a remarkable man, sir. Oh yes, you are a remarkable man. In all my time, all my career, travelling the world, I've only ever met one other person like you. Someone with the intelligence that you've got, the ability, the natural ability to hypnotise yourself. Did you know you can hypnotise yourself? I'm telling you, looking at you from my experience, it'll work for you. So if you just stand up, what you to do, yeah, if you stand there, take your right hand, and the way you hypnotise yourself is, I'll count to 3. On the count of 3, you're just going to tap yourself on the face like that and say sleep. And off you'll go like that. Go on, 1, 2, 3, just tap yourself on the face. Like, you have to kind of do it at the same time. So it's like 1, 2, 3 and
Sleep.
You have to do it louder. Okay, 1, 2, 3.
Sleep.
Oh, sorry, did I say right hand? Sorry, I meant left hand. Yeah, okay. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3 and just
Sleep.
no, harder.
Sleep.
Ladies and gentlemen, that just goes to show you don't need to be hypnotised to make a complete tit of yourself. Give him a round of applause as he goes back to his seat. I'll see you back in here in 30 minutes maximum. 4:30. Thank you.